I, 28 female, live next door to an older couple named Joe and Jane. They're in their 70s but extremely active, and during the warmer months, Joe spends almost all of his free time outside, tending his yard. I have a great relationship with Joe and Jane. Anytime I'm out working in my yard, Joe will come over and we'll chat for half an hour or more. I have the key to Joe and Jane's house. They have a key to mine. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they're the perfect neighbors. I have a small courtyard in the back. The two wings of my house kind of envelop the courtyard, so usually when I sit out, you can't see me from the neighboring houses. I love, love, love to sit out there and tan while I'm working or attending school online. However, I occasionally need to move to stay with the sun, so you kind of see me from Joe and Jane's backyard for a brief period. Joe and Jane have adult children, and one of them, Amanda, 50s, has been coming over a lot lately. Yesterday, as I was sitting out with a pair of shorts and a bikini top, I moved my chair slightly, so I was partially in view of them in the backyard. And soon Amanda came strolling through my yard and approached me. Amanda, hi, could you please not wear a bikini when my dad works in the yard? It's not appropriate. Me, oh, I'm sorry, does the bathing suit bother him? He's never mentioned anything to me about it. Amanda, well, no, but it bothers me. My dad is older, and he shouldn't have breasts in his face when he's trying to work outside. We have 3/4 of an acre between our houses, LOL. Me, you can hardly see me 99% of the time, and I think your dad is more focused on his gardening when he's out here than he is on me. Amanda, you young girls just think that everybody wants to see your bodies. Well, I've got news for you. We don't. Go put some clothes on. LOL, this is a direct quote. Me, ma'am, I'm just trying to mind my business and get some work done. If your dad has a problem, he's more than welcome to come and talk to me about it, as he usually does. Until then, I'm just going to ask you nicely to get off my property. Afterward, I changed into a sports bra / moved my chair out of the sun so I was no longer visible to her. I know that being right and being a decent human being are two different things. I guess I could just pop a sports bra on whenever she's over, even though I think she'd still have an issue with that, and it would mess up my tan lines. But at the same time, it's my property, and I shouldn't have to change my behavior to suit the preferences of someone who doesn't even live here. Am I the idiot for sunbathing in partial view of my neighbors and not putting on a shirt when my neighbor's daughter, who doesn't live here, had an issue with my bathing suit? Not the idiot. If you are in your backyard naked, then I can see why she may have an issue. Otherwise, you are in your residence and can do whatever you want. That lady probably just had her own envy, an issue she needs to work out, as her dad doesn't even care. I wouldn't even bring it up and just keep doing what you're doing. She thinks she can tell you how to dress while you're on your own property? She's working out some of her own issues. I think if she's saying things like, he shouldn't have breasts in his face. I mean, wow, what? Not the idiot. Use sunscreen. Not the idiot. You were asked to stop wearing a bikini top in your own backyard so as not to offend / excite her father? That kind of toxic thought process is disgusting and so misogynistic. And frankly, it is none of the daughter's business how you dress, especially in your own backyard. I wouldn't have changed at all if I were you. She needs to mind her business. You weren't bothering anyone and were barely even visible to them. After missing out on many social events last year, I've been wanting to plan a get-together for our group of friends. So for the last few weeks, I've been planning to host a Memorial Weekend barbecue. We're going to have a smoker, a couple of charcoal grills, yard games, beer, friends, laughter, pretty much everything that we missed out on last summer. I'm excited. A lot of our friends are excited. It's something I'm really looking forward to. Then this past weekend, my wife informed me that her parents and younger brother also want to come. They live about an hour away, but as far as I'm concerned, the more the merrier. But then she tells me that since her brother literally just got out of inpatient rehab for alcoholism about a month ago, that we need to make sure that no one brings drinks so that he doesn't feel uncomfortable. I told her that was not going to happen. I said that everyone else is already attending under the assumption that this is a party. I will not contact every one of them and tell them that they can no longer bring alcohol because of one person. I told her that would be like telling everyone that they need to bring nothing but veggie burgers because one person coming is a vegetarian. She got upset and accused me of not caring about her brother's recovery and how far he's come. I told her that I am glad her brother is on the path to recovery, but that I will not alter this party that I've been planning for weeks for his needs. I asked her if she even asked him whether or not he would feel uncomfortable and she said she hadn't spoken to him yet, but both she and her mom agreed that not having any alcohol at the party would be best. I told her that it sounds like maybe she and her mom should plan their own party then, because I'm not going to change anything, and that maybe it would be better if her brother just didn't come. I reiterated that I'm glad he's bettering himself, but that sooner or later, he's going to need to realize his own comfort level with booze at social events. Maybe a month removed from rehab isn't the best time to attend a party to try and discover that comfort level. She then accused me of caring more about getting drunk with my friends than her brother, and said that we could all stand to have one day without drinking beer so that her brother can feel included in our lives again. I told her if she feels that way, she needs to plan her own party and not sabotage mine. She then threatened to call all of our friends herself to let them know not to bring any drinks. I told her if she did that, then I would not attend the party either, and I would go find something else to do that day, since she feels the need to control everything. She hasn't called our friends or anything yet, and I'm not budging on this. I haven't asked her if she's talked to her mom or brother yet either, so we are still kind of at an impasse. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your wife and mother-in-law's expectations are absurd and highly inconsiderate. If the party had been specifically for your brother-in-law, I could see them making their case. However, her brother's addiction is not everyone else's problem. The reality is, he's not going to be able to avoid alcohol for the rest of his life. At some point, he will have to be in a situation where he's around it. If he is not in a solid place in his recovery with a good foundation and support system where he can be around alcohol and not be tempted to drink, he shouldn't be coming to those kinds of events until he's ready. Not the idiot. It would be incredibly rude to the already invited guests to ask them not to bring their own drink to the type of party traditionally enjoyed with a few brews. Not to mention that even if you had acquiesced to your wife's request, how awkward would it be for your brother? You've called every other guest to inform them to not bring drinks because he's fresh out of rehab. That's bound to fuel the gossip machine. This won't be the last time the brother is tempted by drinks, and if he's not personally ready for that social situation, he needs to skip the party. Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily would be rude to the other guests, as ultimately it is his house. Still, I definitely think it's rude to announce such a private part of someone's life without asking them, and may even be more detrimental to brother-in-law's recovery than him being at a party for a couple hours. My first wife passed away 10 years ago when my kids, 2 boys and a girl, were young. It was a challenging period for all of us, and at that point, I thought I would never find love again. I was 39 at the time. My children and I went into therapy for 1 year to help get over the trauma. 3 years later, I met my current wife, 42. She was brilliant and helped me through getting over my first wife. My children were always against this and were telling me I was replacing mom. I tried to take it slow and explain to them that this was not the case and she would never replace their mother. They disagreed, and my eldest started telling my younger 2 that this was a homewrecker and she was terrible. I tried to tell them otherwise, but the seeds were sown and they hated her as well. At 46, I found out I was becoming a father again. I was ecstatic, but my children were horrified. On the day of my wife's death anniversary, we were all at her grave. My younger son told me to spit on her grave because that was all I was doing. I was mortified he even thought like that. My daughter also calls my wife derogatory names, and it really hurts us. My daughter chose to live with her elder brother because she couldn't stand the sight of me. Our daughter is a toddler now, and I don't know how I will explain to her that her siblings never want to see her again. I also really miss them. We rarely meet, and every time we talk, they insult my wife or daughter. I really want to reconcile with them. It's come to the stage where my eldest is asking for his mother's life insurance policy because he would be damned if my daughter saw a sense of this. I am at a loss, and so is my wife. The life insurance policy has been completely paid to me already and is in my joint account. I will most likely pull it out and put it into a trust for my children because I don't believe my wife would want another woman's child to get it. This sounds like a very old problem that, over time, grew to the monster it is now, and easy fixes won't work anymore. It's time to draw clear boundaries while affirming how you feel about them and your family, as well as your deceased wife. There may be a time in the future where repair to this relationship is possible, but now doesn't seem to be it. As long as they aren't interested, there is no hope. You can reach out every now and then and offer an olive branch, but leave matters in their hands and protect your family. Your older children sound absolutely horrible. It's tough, but ultimately, you can't live with that kind of nastiness over your head. I would consider leaving them to it and focusing on the family who actually loves and supports you. Make sure you have an updated will, If something happens to you, it could be World War III fighting over your assets. It was my girlfriend's 23 birthday, and I-25 Mail got her an iPhone 12 Pro, as she has been wanting one for a while, so I saved up, and it was very expensive. When I surprised her with it, I was expecting her to be excited, but instead she told me she wanted a black one, not a white one. She never told me she wanted a black one. She just always said she wanted the phone itself. When I told her I didn't know, she said that I ruined her birthday and just left. I was honestly in shock and disbelief that she was that upset about a phone color. I didn't know what to do with the phone and planned on taking it back, but I remembered my sister, 19, just had a baby and unfortunately had to drop out of college to find a job. I decided that I would give the phone to her since the phone she had was not working anymore. I told her that I would give the phone to her, but I still had to check if my girlfriend changed her mind. So I texted her saying, "This is your last chance to change your mind about the phone because I plan on giving it to my sister." And she just texted me back, "I don't care." I asked her one last time, and again she said, "I told you I don't care." So that was that. A few hours later, I was in bed when my girlfriend came in and asked me where her phone was. And I told her, "I thought you didn't want it. I'm sorry, but it's too late now. I already gave it to my sister." She got angry and started shouting at me, saying that she thought I was joking and that it was her phone, so I had no right to give it away, and started stomping her feet, saying she wanted her phone back right now. I lost my cool and told her, "You are an adult behaving like a child who didn't get their way. I asked you twice if you wanted the phone and you said no. Now please stop behaving like a toddler." She stumped out of the room and texted me that I was a jerk, and now all of her friends are ganging up on me. So now I'm wondering if I'm the idiot. Not the idiot. Dealing with this person will always be a doomed if you do, doomed if you don't situation. No matter how you try to please her, she will never be happy. She will constantly move the goalpost and find ways to tell you why you're not good enough for her. This is a relationship red flag. It's good that you didn't give the phone to an ungrateful person. Not the idiot. And please consider breaking up. Your girlfriend is utterly dismissive of all the effort that must have gone into buying the phone because of something she never even specified. She then proceeds as if she was the one being wronged and turns the blame onto you, but somehow still stakes claim on the phone after basically tossing it aside. I honestly think it's great karma that the phone found someone actually deserving. OP, this is a metric crapload of red flags. Consider ending your relationship with her. She's toxic. OMG, not the idiot. Your girlfriend rejects your very generous gift 3 times and then dares to get angry when you give it to someone who not only could benefit from it, but does actually need a phone to replace their broken one. Save yourself the trouble. Things are only going to get worse from here. So my cousin Ted is one of 4 siblings, my aunt's kids. Their father passed away when they were all very, very young. He had an excellent job. He was young but worked very hard, and one of the youngest to hold a senior position. Unfortunately, this took a toll on his health. A fund was left for college for each child, and a fund for the house. A relative offered to invest the house fund into land in Florida for a farm versus using the money to pay off the house. About 3 years later, the farm failed and the money is gone. Now to the present day. It turns out that the college fund for Ted was the house fund. These 2 funds were in the form of savings accounts and were switched. Additionally, the house fund never existed, just the college funds. House fund account was created, but no money was put in. The relative claimed he misread the will. The other 3 college funds were done correctly and actually protected trust funds. Ted found this out only a few weeks ago. This fall, he is going in his last year of high school and has started early on his college applications. His heart has been set on New York University since he was a child. He has the grades to get in. His other choices are also costly universities. The family receives death benefits, but that is the only income. Their mother does not work, and they have no savings. Ted and I were going over options, and in our city, some community colleges are free. It was not a super long conversation, but I could tell he was distraught and getting quiet. The next day, I found out from his siblings. He flipped out after I left and said I destroyed his dreams. His mother is upset too, and I told her there are no options because there's no money. I work in education, and even with scholarships, it would not cover much. Ted refuses to work during college, including work-study. I tried my best, but scholarships for the schools he wants are not enough. Financial aid is not enough. At one point, his mom wanted to find a legal way to take out of the other kids' funds and got angry at them when they said they would, but they wanted to be paid back. Now I have random people calling me, telling me I need to apologize and make scholarship, tuition, room, and board appear out of thin air. Other relatives said I should have been more sensitive to his feelings and give him hope. Am I the idiot? Should I have been more tactful in explaining his options? I knew he was distraught, but I kept going. I thought it was best to be blunt because his mother and the relative are giving too much hope. That's why I feel like I should have found a different way to discuss this or stop and pick up the conversation on a different day. The mother is the executor. There are 2 other relatives before her, and a lot of the info she got was secondhand. All she had was the login for the accounts. Not the idiot. Ted needs a lawyer. The relative totally messed up. How did he not know there weren't 4 college funds, 1 for each kid? The terms of the will should still apply. A good lawyer could get the total value of the remaining college fund split 4 ways, and the relative needs to be held accountable. Yeah, I think the relative stole money from a child to fund a stupid business idea that would never pan out. If said relative couldn't get funding through a bank, there was a reason for that. Possibly several reasons. How in the world did Ted's mother even let this happen? Ted was a kid, so she would have had to take the money out herself. Not the idiot. And I don't know why your family's trying to hold you accountable for a situation you didn't cause. Why aren't they going after the relative who did this? Or the mom for being so unaware of her own finances that she let it happen? Ted has the right to be angry that his college money was gambled away, but not at you. Not the idiot. Someone needs to tell him the truth. Sticking her head in the sand and hoping for the best is how the mom lost Ted's college fund in the first place. If the will was misread, Ted may be able to sue the executor for his college fund. Help him get a lawyer who can untangle this. The fact of the matter is that as things stand, Ted does not have the luxury of not taking loans or not working through college.
Storytime about how I caught my husband cheating on me with our very young nanny. Disclaimer, this is not my storytime. I was sending me on Instagram. I'm 45 years old and my husband is 10 years younger than me. When we first got married, my friends kept telling me not to marry someone so much younger. They told me that he would eventually cheat and leave me for someone younger. I refused to believe this hope because my husband and I really loved each other. Or at least I thought. We met at a party a few years ago and he made the first move right away. He asked me out on a date and a few weeks later we became boyfriend and girlfriend. A few years after that we got married and after years of trying we finally got pregnant and had twins. They are both 2 years old now. My husband's job requires him to travel a lot. I own a really big salon and business is good, so we have a pretty good life and are able to afford a lot of things for our kids. Since my husband travels, my schedule has to be really flexible. I take care of the kids in the morning and then I go off to work, leaving them with the nanny. Our first nanny was a lot older and she had lots of experience, but she unexpectedly quit on us, so we had to find another one. We decided to look for one of those nanny agencies. We ended up interviewing about 5 nannies, but my husband was set on one of them and she was the youngest out of all of them, 18. Oh yeah, and the most attractive too. My husband told me that maybe we should try someone younger so that the kids can have fun, and I said yes. The nanny would cover for me for about 4 hours a day when I was at work. Her and I started to get along really well. She would tell me about her boy troubles and I would give her advice. I even started telling her about the problems I was having with my husband. Little did I know that she was the problem. Like I said in part 1, my husband travels a lot. This is what we would usually fight about. You see, it was actually really easy for him to travel less. All he had to do was pick a different region for his job. Instead of a 6-hour flight, it could have been a 2-hour trip. His excuse was that he would get paid less. When I was telling the nanny about our issues, she told me that I should just let it go and let my husband have his freedom. But the way she said it really bothered me. I ended the conversation and told her that she could go home. When my husband came home, I mentioned to him what the nanny said. I told him that I didn't like the way she told me that I needed to give him his freedom. He started to laugh and said, "She's just a young girl. She's probably just saying what she thinks you need to hear." I decided to listen to my husband and I let it go. A week later, the nanny comes over to take care of the kids. By the way, as soon as she would come to my house, I would serve her a plate of food or make her anything she wanted before I left to work. She sat down to eat. I could see her messages on her phone, and the name on the messages was the same as my husband's. I asked her why she was messaging my husband and she quickly put her phone in her purse. She did not know what to say. I asked her if she was okay. Then she replies with, "I just needed some advice for my car." She was so nervous. I asked her to pull out her phone and give it to me. That's when she said no and started putting up a fight. She told me I had no right to check her phone, but I didn't believe her. I ripped her purse from her hands and grabbed the phone. Before I even have a chance to look at the messages, she starts calling me fat and old, and that my husband is planning to leave me for her. Honestly, what she was saying didn't faze me because my goal was to look at the messages, and she was pretty much right. In the messages, my husband promised her to leave me for her, and that he was sick of me and the kids. I begin to scroll up and see all of the pictures that they sent each other. You can imagine what they were. By the way, the nanny was only a day from turning 18. Yep. Out of nowhere, she starts breaking breaking plates and glasses and verbally abusing me. She even said that if I didn't leave him alone, that something bad would happen to me. I grabbed her by the arm and threw her out of the house, but I kept her phone, so I called my husband from the phone. When he hears my voice, he hangs up the phone. When he finally got home, we got into a 6-hour fight. I made him leave the house, but apparently the nanny went crazy. She started stalking him and he had to get a restraining order against her. Serves him right. Her parents are threatening to press charges. I don't want my kids to grow up without a father, but I don't want to get back with him. What should I do?
Am I the asshole for how I reacted after I discovered my husband left our daughter in dirty diapers for 4 hours? My husband and I have been married for 3 years and we have a toddler and an infant. The problem is that he's helpless. There, I said it. He doesn't have a job, spends his entire day on the phone or watching TV or playing on the latest console that I bought him with my money. Or just chilling on the couch eating couch snacks. He doesn't cook and doesn't know how, and when I ask him to tidy up the house, he's like, why, are we having guests over? He does help, but it's the bare minimum. He'll take the trash out and then go back to the couch while I cook, clean, and get up with the baby. Then if I dare to criticize his behavior, he goes silent for a long time, like 2 to 3 weeks, and I hate it. I'll suggest jobs for him so he can help since I pay for everything, and he get excited then miss the job interview every single time. Days ago, I went home and found our 2-year-old daughter was left in dirty diapers for 4 hours. Even though her dad was home and was right there on the couch snoozing. When he said he planned to change the diaper, but until after his nap, a switch flipped inside of me. I royally lost it. I yelled at him to get up, and then I did the following. I made him clean the entire house top to bottom, moved the couch to the basement, confiscated his console, canceled his subscriptions, and turned the Wi-Fi off. Oh, and I took his couch snacks. Am I the asshole for telling my husband that I'll stop paying for everything, including therapy, if he doesn't start looking for a job? My husband and I have been together for a total of 4 years. He's dealt with depression and anxiety since 2019. He completely shut down, quit his job, sold his car, emptied his savings, and stopped seeing friends and family and started spending his day doing nothing. Not a thing. None. It took months before realizing that he was dealing with a mental health issue, and I arranged for him to see a therapist. He was against it, but then agreed to give it a try. His quality of life improved and he got a major makeover, including a new car. I was happy that he got his life back, except that he doesn't work, not only that, but use my money to get his transformation. When I tried to talk to him about finding a job since now he's doing well, he put off the idea and says he needs more therapy to be ready to start committing to a job and working. This went on for months and he jumped from therapist to therapist and still said he's not ready for a job yet. But he's always going out to eat with his friends and buying new gadgets. We had a huge argument after I found out he bought a $200 wristwatch for himself using my credit card. I shouted that it was time to get a job. And that if he didn't, I would stop paying for everything, including therapy. He said that would send him back, but I said he was a hypocrite for saying he's not ready, but living completely normal. Am I the asshole for insisting my boyfriend eat respectfully at a nice restaurant? So my boyfriend and I have been together for 7 months. We usually eat takeout if we want to get something to eat. However, I was recently promoted, so we went to eat at a very nice Italian restaurant to celebrate. Like, one with an enforced dress code. My boyfriend is not the nicest of eaters, which can be kind of gross, but I deal with it. However, I didn't realize he had no table manners. When our appetizer was served, he looked at me jokingly and asked if I'd be upset if he enjoyed his meal the same way he would at home. I said that we were at a nice restaurant and there were other customers around. He didn't say anything, but instead started digging into the bruschetta with his hands. He got sauce all over his fingers, but I let this go. However, when the pasta came out, he smirked at me and ate like he hadn't eaten in a week. He then dropped his fork and started picking up pieces of chicken and noodles with his fingers, getting sauce everywhere. The tablecloth, his hands, his clothes, and face. He also burped after destroying his side of the table. The table next to us was astonished, and my waiter even asked him if he was okay. Customers were staring and he put his feet up on the chair next to us, blocking the aisle. I asked for the check, which I paid, and told him that I was embarrassed, but he said it's my fault for not letting him enjoy the meal.
Am I the asshole for telling my sister she was dating my biological father? I, 24 female, and the product of my mom having an affair. Fortunately, my dad decided to forgive my mom and keep me, and I had a pretty good upbringing. When I was 17, my mom took me out for ice cream and introduced me to my bio father. She said that she felt I was old enough to know the truth and explained about her affair, while also, A, making me promise I wouldn't tell my older sister, 27 female, in the present, and B, hammering home along with my bio dad that he'd never be a part of my life and didn't want me. It was a lot, I won't lie. Fast forward to the present. My big sister has always gravitated towards older men. And 2 months ago, she shared a picture of herself and her new boyfriend, who, to my shock, turned out to be my biological father.
So my boyfriend, Kyle, 26, recently got a promotion to general manager at a restaurant he works at. I, 22, work full-time as a pediatric nurse and my hours are kind of all over the place right now because of the virus. Anyway, when he got home to tell me about his promotion, I was ecstatic. He's a hard worker and deserves it 100%. However, because it happened on a Tuesday, we decided we'll go for celebratory dinner with our mutual friends Saturday night. I was scheduled to work Saturday, but I figured as long as I was able to get home, shower, and change, all is well. I'll just sleep late on Sunday. So now it's Saturday. I unfortunately lost a patient who had been fighting for her life since birth. I've been her nurse every time I was working in that department, and her family were very important to me. I was absolutely devastated. When I got home, the last thing on my mind was dinner. I told Kyle about what happened and he gave me a hug and said he's sorry to hear that. About 10 minutes later, he softly asked if I was going to shower before we leave. I told him I really don't feel like going out, but he insisted that I go since I promised, and if he goes without me, his friends will ask a lot of questions. I didn't want to, but I agreed since I promised. While I tried to keep a smile on my face, it was obvious that I was upset. One of our friends asked if I was okay, and before I could just say that I had a rough day at work, Kyle said, "She's been bitching about a patient she lost at work today," and scoffed. I was flabbergasted. He's never said anything like that before. I replied saying, "That patient was 3 months old." He shrugged and said it's not my own child and it shouldn't bother me this much. I was furious and embarrassed since it went down in front of our friends, so I just put down enough money for my meal and went home. I put his stuff in a box. He wasn't living with me but would stay with me a couple days out of the week. When he came back, he flipped out and I said that I just need space. That was 2 weeks ago. I have since changed locks since he had a spare key. He says I'm overreacting and that I'm the asshole for ruining his big night. That I selfishly made it all about me. He accused me of thinking higher of myself because I'm a nurse and he works in a restaurant. Honestly, I don't know where that came from. He also said that he figured since it was a celebratory dinner for him, he thought I was going to pay, so walking out on him was very embarrassing because he didn't bring his wallet. One of our mutual friends, Amy, called me and said that while what Kyle said was fucked up, that me leaving like that was unnecessary and made the whole night awkward. I feel bad for ruining the night for everyone else, but I just couldn't let him get away with that. I'm very proud to be a nurse and I don't want anyone, especially my partner, to talk poorly about it. So, am I the asshole for walking out on dinner?
Storytime on how I beat up my toxic mom for New Year's. Okay, so boom, jumping right in. I have a mom who's extremely controlling and doesn't let me do anything. I'm 16 years old and she tells me to do the most outrageous things. Like when she told me I couldn't go out with my friends and I snuck out. So she took away my phone and barred my window. And another time when my mom found out I snuck a boy over, she removed the locks from my room door. Even when it comes to my grades, I think I'm doing pretty alright. I got mostly C's, maybe a D or two, but no F's. But here she comes putting me in tutoring without my permission. And one of the biggest things is when I speak my mind and tell her that I'm my own person and will not be forced to do anything I don't want to, she beats me up with a belt for a quote-unquote talking to her disrespectfully. I couldn't continue to deal with my toxic mother, so something had to change. She had it coming. Okay, so boom, like I said, I couldn't continue to deal with my toxic mother, so something had to change. I saw a TikTok video saying that going into the new year, you should cut off anything toxic in your life. So that's exactly what I was going to do. I went down to the kitchen and told my mom that I was going to cut her off and going to live with my friend. My mom refused and told me to go to my room. I had enough and I yelled at her, "I'm not going anywhere." My mom said, "Who are you talking to?" And I screamed, "You, I'm talking to you." Then I pushed her back where she hit the fridge and she pushed me back saying, "What are you doing? How dare you?" I was filled with so much anger, I tried swinging at my mom and fighting. But my mom grabbed my hand and slapped me. I was in shock and cried and ran to her room where the windows weren't barred. I jumped out her window and I ran away. I guess I didn't think everything through because I didn't even know how to get to my friend's house because my mom would always be the one to drop me off. So I was kind of just lost. I eventually even slipped on tar and sprained my ankle and was in horrible shape. Eventually, some cops found me and brought me home because my mom reported that I ran away. My mom nursed me back to health, and after spending long hours together, because she called off work and treated me for a month, I realized my mom loved me and just wanted what was best for me and for me to be successful. I begged and begged for my mom's forgiveness, and currently I'm doing everything in my power to make it up to her. I'm gonna make sure I make her proud. Don't beat up your mom, kids.
Am I the asshole for telling my fiance I won't attend his brother's wedding not even 3 months before ours? My 22 female fiance, 27 male proposed back in August. Not even 2 months later, his younger brother, 22 male, decided to propose to his girlfriend, 22 female. My fiance and his brother aren't that close and don't really talk, so it wasn't really communicated to each other that they were both planning to propose. We're older than my future brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and I wanted to get a head start in planning. We made the assumption that because my future sister-in-law is still in school and my future brother-in-law had just graduated college and getting his career started, that they would have their wedding later down the road. My fiance and I put our deposit down for our wedding venue. We get a call from his brother the day after we booked our venue, and his brother was telling my fiance that he is planning to book a tropical destination wedding less than 3 months before our wedding date. Didn't put a deposit or anything, just wanted to let us know what their wedding planning was going to be like. My fiance kindly told his brother to reconsider because it's not even 3 months before our wedding and we already put down the deposit. This is where my future brother-in-law said they don't want to change their date because they've been dating longer than us. Petty bullshit. His brother asked if we would move our wedding date for them, and my fiance said no because we already put the deposit down. Honestly, why would we accommodate to them if they aren't going to accommodate to us? I gave him an ultimatum and said if they go through with setting their wedding less than 3 months before ours, then I will not be going. My fiance said that's pretty fucked up that I wouldn't go to their wedding, especially since I'm marrying into the family and it would be right before ours, but personally, with planning my own wedding, I feel that I am not financially stable to go to a destination wedding less than 3 months before my own.
As a child, whenever I was invited to people's houses, my mom told me it was etiquette to eat the food that they made. She would always tell me to put a considerable amount and eat all of it since it would be rude not to. First, she said I would be wasting food, and second, it would seem as if I didn't enjoy the food, which is mean since a lot of effort was put into making it. I've always followed this rule and thought it was true. If I cooked a buttload of food and no one ate it, I'd be heartbroken. My boyfriend of 7 months invited me to his family's Christmas dinner. I've met his parents very briefly, but nothing too formal. Anyway, we get to the food and I was pretty hungry and everything looked really amazing. I made sure to fill my plate, but not overfill, just equal amounts of everything on the table. I ate it all and to be honest, was pretty stuffed. His mother then asked me if I wanted seconds. There was still a lot of food on the table. I took her up on the offer and put a bit more of the pasta salad. My boyfriend gave me a strange look, but I thought nothing of it at the time. Dessert comes and I chose to eat a slice of cheesecake. We then had coffee, all sitting around the fire and telling funny stories. Everyone seemed like in a very good mood and everything was great. After everything, I was honestly so happy because I was worried about dinner and meeting his parents, but I thought that everything went well. We left his parents' house in separate cars as I came directly from my parents' house to him. We reached my apartment and I can tell he's totally pissed off. I asked him what was wrong and he just blew up in my face that I had no manners, telling me he had never seen me eat as much as I did at his parents' house and it was so embarrassing. After further prying, he said that in his culture, when you eat a lot at a person's house, it's disrespectful because you should never go to a house on an empty stomach. He said that it makes a person look desperate and fat. He said on the car ride home, his mom was talking about how embarrassing and unmannered I was to eat so much. I told him that she told me to put seconds and he said that's done to be a good hostess, but a guest should never take up on that offer. He said it would have been fine if I had declined dessert, but since I didn't, I looked even more fat. I explained my reasoning to him and he called that bullshit. I honestly feel terrible, but I told him that if he explained to me beforehand, I wouldn't have eaten so much. He said that he thought it was common knowledge. It's been 2 days and neither of us will really talk until the other apologizes. I know it's petty not to apologize, but I sincerely don't think I did anything wrong. Am I the asshole for eating at my boyfriend's family's Christmas dinner?
So I have guests staying with me tomorrow, and I just got back from the store. I bought every beverage I could think of to fill my mini fridge for them, but this is the room that they're staying in, and it's a total disaster, and it's already 10 o'clock at night, so I better get to work. James just told me that this is the worst flavor of LaCroix. Does anyone else agree? I'm so bad at picking LaCroix flavors at the store. He says I can no longer do it. If you don't agree this is the best brand of root beer in the entire world, just don't know if we can be friends. If you love soda as much as I do, especially Dr. Pepper, but don't love the sugar and all of the calories, try this instead. I don't have a different can for the last row, so I'm just gonna have to do another row of Barq's root beer. The whole thing is ruined. This one has a dent. That can't happen. We're gonna have to switch it. All better. Oh my god, really tight. There we go. The drinks are looking good. Now we're gonna move on to snacks. This is one of my favorite late night snacks. Apple slices and peanut butter. All done. The fridge area is done. I just have to fill it with a few more of their favorite goodies in the morning. I've got a long ways to go and I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it, so wish me luck.